What if I asked you to sell me this pen? Think you could do it? All right, maybe a little too easy. Well, what about this nice piece of art behind me? This wood art. Maybe a little tougher, a little more expensive. What if I asked you to sell me my own death? Think you're up for the challenge? Yokoso minasan, I am the Anibasu and welcome to a very long overdue episode of Anime School of Business. A lot has changed in this time. I now live here, I now work here, and I even got one of these suddenly. So time is in short supply and things have been tough lately. But enough about me. The person we're here to talk about today has also had a very tough road and he's actually cut a lot of people's time very short. We're of course talking about Yagami Light in the ever popular series Death Note. And I'm going to show you why he is the greatest salesman in all of anime. Do you know what, Castiel? This world is rotten. Let's liven it up a little bit. Death Note is an anime many people use to get other people into anime. Yagami Light stumbles across an all-powerful notebook that can end people's lives with just a name, a face, and a flick of the wrist. As long as you follow the rules, of course. With this, and his brilliant mind, he sets out to fix the world which is all too rotten, and has to outsmart cunning detectives along the way. It's an epic series that still ranks in many people's top, despite the controversy over how the ending goes. But today, we're here to focus on one incredible extended scene, and it might actually be my favorite scene in literally all of anime. And that is the negotiation, and trust me when I say this, all sales are negotiations, between Yagami Light and Naomi Misora. If Light does not discern the true name of Misora, who is extremely cautious, before she gets to L, it could spell the end for him. Now this scene is so brilliant in the tension that it builds up as Yagami Light tries tactic after tactic to try and sell himself to her as a trustworthy person and get her name so that he can dispose of her. But it's these methods, this is what we're going to focus on today. Now in the business world, there is a staple book called Getting to Yes, and it's the fundamentals of many people's negotiating skills. In fact, a lot of business classes either preach it or teach it outright in their classes. Now the book does a really good job of describing 4 key principles that help you get what you want, which is of course, getting to yes, getting the sale. Now let's look at each of these because Light actually uses almost every single one of them to some degree in this scene. Now the first principle in this book, Getting to Yes, is separating the people from the problem. And you'll find that in a lot of negotiations, people get very personal and they take it very serious as if it's a personal affront or an attack on them, their position. And as such, we have to separate those two things, which Light does expertly. In fact, he even calls it out directly when Naomi does the same thing herself.
There's no doubt in my mind your deductive skills are excellent, but you can't deny that you have a personal interest in the case. Your theory is worth looking into, that's for sure. Your testimony could be central to the case.
But notice how Light recognized what she was doing, that she had a personal interest in the situation, separated it from the problem, which was the actual investigation itself, and still validated her concerns. That was a huge step for him. And by identifying it and then validating her at the same time, it was a huge step early on in the negotiation for gaining her trust. Now, another key principle in this book is to generate a variety of options. You know, if you go into negotiation with just one stance, one position of what you want to do, as soon as your, counter negotiator throws you off, you're out of luck, you're out of options. And as such, Light finds himself in the situation when Naomi continues with her cautiousness to just kind of thwart his advances in gaining her trust. And so he suddenly finds himself scrambling for options.
Her purse, her pockets, she's got to have a driver's license or some kind of personal identification on her somewhere. I've got to get her somewhere isolated. But where? What explanation could I give her? It would never work. She's too careful. I need a better approach.
Hey, Light, that deal I mentioned is still open.
Now, had Light been a little less flexible and just only had one plan of attack, at this point, he may have just had to run or had to take her by force, something he didn't really want to do, something with too much risk for Light. As such, he kept an open mind and he kept looking for other ways to get to what he wanted, which is ultimately a yes. But the next principle from Getting to Yes is really the key principle, and it's the key thing that turns this discussion for Light in his favor. And that is focusing on the interests instead of the position. See, in positional negotiation, which is kind of like old school negotiating, I want to start at $25. That's what I want to sell this thing for you at. You want to buy it for $5. I go to 20, you go to 10, and we settle at 15, right? We had positions we started at, and we ended somewhere in the middle. There's no logic, there's no reason. It's just, I want to pay this, you want to pay that, and we meet somewhere where we're both literally unhappy with it. That's positional, but when you find out the interest of what someone's looking for, you can do a lot more work in your negotiation. Now, Yagami Light nails this during this scene, and it's really the turning point in him getting to yes.
I want to catch Kira. I don't care about anything else. It's all I want to do.
This is the beginning of the end for poor Misora, and at this point he knew exactly what she wanted. He was able to capitalize on it and effectively close the sale.
Will you investigate this case with me? Huh? I want you to come work with us as part of the task force. We could use your help.
After that, Light had made all the emotional traps he needed to set, and it's just a matter of signing the details and doing the logistical side of negotiation. The fourth principle is using an objective criteria to make the agreement. In this situation, Misora fulfilled her interest in the negotiation, which was getting to be part of the investigation, investigating with Kira, or to find Kira. And Light got what he wanted objectively from negotiation, and the agreement was she had to show him her valid identification.
I just need to see some form of identification before we proceed.
And to quote the great Hamlet, the rest is silence.
Because I'm Kira.
And now we have just broken down how Light, our salesman of the year, just sold a completely uninterested customer her own death using the 4 principles found in Getting to Yes. If for some reason you haven't seen Death Note yet, please do. I mean, the first half of the series is probably some of the best cat and mouse suspense of any anime of all time. The latter half is something else. But thank you for watching another episode of Anime School of Business. Hopefully the next one won't be 6 months from now, but this meeting is adjourned. Iterashai.